Hey everyone, welcome back to Dan's Chess Lounge. Today we're continuing with our candidates preview. The player spotlight for today is Fabiano Caruana. He's an American Grandmaster. He was born July 30th, 1992. So as of today, he's 25 years old. He's still one of the young guys. He's definitely not an up-and-comer. He's already made his mark on the game. He's a childhood prodigy. He was the youngest U.S. Grandmaster ever. He made GM when he was 14 years old, and that was the youngest ever. He's since been passed by Sam Sevian, because he became a GM when he was 13, but still, 14 years old, that's incredible to become a grandmaster. He was taught by a number of coaches, but one of his very first coaches was Bruce Pandolfini. And just a little sidebar here, that kind of was interesting to me because Bruce Pandolfini was Josh Waitzkin's chess coach. And I learned how to play chess through a computer game called The Chess Master. And on The Chess Master, they had probably 6 or 7 games that was annotated by Josh Waitzkin. And so it just kind of made me reminisce. And I used to be a fan of the chess movie Searching for Bobby Fischer, which was all about Josh Waitzkin and Bruce Pandolfini, his coach. So when I came across today doing the research on Fabiano that his first coach was Bruce Pandolfini, it made me reminisce. But anyway, back to Fabiano's qualifications here for the tournament. He had the highest average rating in 2017, and the top 2 people with the highest average rating gets into the tournament as long as they've played in the World Cup, and there was another one. It was the World Cup, and I think it might have been and the Grand Prix series. So as far as his nickname, he goes by Fabi, and his style on the chessboard is he's an all-around player. Like, he's not exceptional at one particular thing. He's just really solid at everything. So he can play in games with the best of them. He can play openings. He's a great calculator. He prepares exceptionally thorough for his opponents. He's just all around a spectacular player. Okay, today I have a game where Fabiano played Alexander Shabalov at the U.S. Championship last year. And Fabi was white. He started off with e4, c5 Sicilian here for Shabalov. Knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d, knight takes d, and you have the open Sicilian right here. That lets you know it's going to be an exciting game for the most part. Sometimes when you get the closed Sicilians, the game's they're not as flashy. You have knight f6 here, which hits the pawn. This forces white, well, not forces, but it entices white to play knight to c3 here to protect the pawn instead of playing c4, which would go into a Maraxi bind. So you have knight c3 here, g6, the dragon variation, which is very, very popular at the club level. Bishop e3. Now you have an interesting move here, a6. It looks like the Najdorf, right? But black has already played g6, like the dragon. It's the Dragendorf. And the idea behind the Dragendorf is to kind of mix, take the best of both worlds. You take the best moves from the Najdorf opening, and you take the best moves from the Dragon opening, you merge them together, and then you get the Dragendorf variation. The question is, if you're doing all these different moves, are you losing time? You know, Black already starts out with a tempo less because he moves second. So is he going to waste even more moves here? We'll see. F3, B5, Queen D2. White sets up his battery to exchange on the H6 square there to attack the dark square bishop here. Typical theme and motive in the dragon. You have bishop B7, and then these moves here, B5, and then bishop B7 are Najdorf moves, and then the kingside Fian Kettle that Black wants to do, and the whole pawn structure over here, that's the dragon side of it. G4, White is starting his attack. He says, I don't care what you're doing over there, I'm going for my thematic attack here on the king side. H6 stops G5 temporarily. Queenside castle. Whenever you see the queenside castle, you know that White is just going to throw everything at Black. Knight BD7. Now H4. White's playing right here. It's very simple. He's just going to push his pawns on the king side. His H pawn. G pawns. He's got his battery going here. He's got the rook already developed on the H1 file without even having to move. The bishop's going to go to D3. And then that's going to be eyeing the king side as well. White's plan is very simple, very clear. It's very easy to understand. What exactly is Black's plan here? Black's king needs the castle and get out the center, but he can't really do that right now. First, he's got to move the bishop, and then he can't really castle because of White's battery here on the H6 pawn. The H6 pawn here would fall if Black is able to castle. So where is the Black king going to go? It can't stay in the middle, can it? You have Rook C8, which attacks the knight there on C3. A lot of times you'll have the rook exchange sacking for the knight to tear open the white king side. So White always has to be aware of the rook takes knight move. As soon as the white queen moves away from protecting that knight, then a lot of times Black would go ahead and sack right there on C3. Bishop D3. Now B4. So Black gets his attack in first. He plays B4, hits the knight. But is it a potent attack? Is it a lethal attack? What's the follow-up here? So you have knight CE2 and E5. Wow. Black takes up space in the center, but he's always going to have to watch this D5 square here. That's a good spot for the knights to land in and control a lot of space around the king side here, around the center, and then with Black's king being there, I guess that is his king side for the moment. So, it's an interesting move here. Knight B3. Knight moves out of the way from being attacked. D5. Black is playing very, very aggressive. The question is, should he be playing this aggressively? His king is still in the middle of the board, and he played D5 to open up the position. Why would he play D5 to open up the position when his king is still in the middle of the board and is not in a position to castle anytime soon? E takes D. Knight takes, hits the bishop. H5. Fabiano says the attack must continue. G5, knight G3. Now the knight is going to a great square where it can't be kicked away by any pawn if it can reach F5, Queen C7. And then I wanted to make a point right here to say Black's knight on D5 is much better than White's bishop on E3. So the reason why Fabiano has not moved his bishop is because he wants Shabalov to trade off that knight for the bishop. Because if you notice, the bishop doesn't really have that many squares to go to. It's biting on granite over here. It doesn't really have that many squares to go to. Can't go over here. So it just has to retreat. So as of now, that centralized knight is a lot better than that dark square bishop. So you have rook H E1. Now the bishop goes to E7, and the knight hops into F5. Now that's a very important move there. The knight attacks the bishop here. Now at this point here, you will see that Fabiano moves his bishop from being captured. And now the reason why he saves his bishop is because now he can knock off Black's dark square bishop. And if he can take Black's dark square bishop, then he will have the bishop pair, and he will be able to control both light squares and dark squares. So that would be a much better continuation. That's why he saves his bishop now. King F8. The king can't castle because he would drop the H pawn over here. So in order to get out of the center, he just steps over one move. But with that makes this rook here in the corner awful. So it is serving a purpose though. It's protecting this pawn here, but it's still Black's position is not good at all. He's definitely losing. Knight takes bishop, knight takes knight, and now you have bishop G3. You have a few pawns that's under attack here. The bishop and rook is hitting the E pawn, the queen's hitting the B pawn. Black's position is just too loose right now. I mean, his king is semi-safe, I guess. I mean, his rook is stuck in the corner over here. Black's position is not very good. Knight D7, and now you have knight D4. If you might be wondering why can't he capture the knight, it's because his queen is pinned here to the bishop on G3. Queen A5 attacks the pawn here and threatens a devastating checkmate on A1. So Fabi plays king B1. Now you have queen B6 here. And you might be wondering, why didn't Shabalov take the knight on D4? Let's see what would happen if he took the knight on D4. So E takes knight. Now you would have bishop D6. So you have the bishop and the rook pinning the knight here. So Fabi would get his piece right back. Bishop D5, threatening more mating attacks. So first you would have bishop takes E7 check, regains his material. And now B3, bishop takes pawn. And at this point here, Black is still has a worse position. He's still losing, but the position is not as bad as what happens in the game. This was a much better continuation if Black would have just took the knight that was on D4. Let's go back. In the game, Shabalov played queen B6 here, attacks the knight. Bishop F5, so it's going to be a peace trade. If Black takes the knight on D4, White will take the knight on D7. Let's see what happens if that plays out. Pawn takes knight, bishop takes knight, rook d8, queen takes, queen takes. You have all these trades in the center, and then the result is that black is a pawn down, but he's still in the game. It's still anyone's game right here. No one is getting mated anytime right away or anytime soon. It's still a fighting. Black still has a fighting chance. But that's not how the game played out. In the game, black played rook c4, hitting the knight again. He just did not want to take the knight. And that was his ultimate downfall. He should have took the knight a move ago. But instead, he played rook c4, and now Fabiano starts to hit him with tactics. Here comes the tactics. Knight e6, check. So now you have pawn takes knight, queen takes knight, pawn takes bishop on f5, and now you have this great move, bishop e5, hits the rook in the corner, rook h7, and now you have bishop d6. You have 3 attackers on the knight there. Bishop c8 hits the queen, bishop takes first, and the king moves down to f7. Queen drops back, hits the rook here, and this is a cute move here, rook c3. Now, what happens if the pawn captures the rook? If b takes c, then you have b takes c, check. And then that leads to checkmate. But there is no way that Fabiano Caruana was going to fall for that. It was a cute move, though. Rook c3 was a cute move. So instead, Fabiano played queen d8 with the idea of going queen f8, checkmate. So then you have the queen trade. Rook takes queen, and Shabalov resigned right here. And you guys might be wondering, well, why did he resign right here? Well, play might have continued like this. Now, the rook is attacking the bishop there, so the black rook has to stay in the c file. And the pawn is being attacked here as well. And this pawn here is being attacked, right? So black would move, let's say, rook c4. It's got to stay in the c file to protect the bishop here. Then you would have rook f8 check. And then king g7. That's the only move that the king can go to. And now you have the finishing move, pawn captures pawn on f5. And see, the next move is going to be f6, pawn f6, checkmate. So there's nothing that black can do other than either sacking the bishop for the pawn right now, or playing rook c6. Then when white pushes the pawn to f6, sack the rook for the pawn. So black would be down major material. Game over. This resulted from a poor opening selection by Shabalov. He shouldn't be playing the Dragon Dwarf against someone as strong as Fabiano. Fabiano was the second highest rated player for a lot of the year last year. He's a world-class player. He's too strong to play the Dragon Dwarf against him. As far as the candidates and how Fabiano is going to do, I'm rooting for him to win. He's my pick to win the tournament. A lot of times you can't really tell how well he's going to do in the leading tournaments leading up to it, just because he'll hide a lot of his new ideas and novelties, and he won't show them off. He won't play them. He'll play openings that he doesn't that he's not a strong end, just so he won't show his cards, so to speak, leading up to the big tournaments. And then once he gets into the big tournaments, that's when he shows what he's made out of. So I don't really care about his previous results at the last tournament that he played in. I think it was the Tata Steel that he played in. I think he's going to do well. I'm rooting for him because he matches up the best with Magnus Carlsen. He is not afraid to play up to his potential whenever he plays Magnus Carlsen. So I think he's going to give him Carlsen the most run for his money if they make it to a championship match in London this year. So that's who I'm rooting for. That's my pick. Let me know, guys, if you agree with me. Let me know if you don't agree with me. By the way, who's your pick? Who are you rooting for? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.